What's going on, everyone? I am just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some uniquely Canadian things that we really don't know about here in the United States. So today I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, what's something uniquely Canadian that outsiders don't really understand? And, by outsiders, that definitely includes Americans. We definitely don't tend to know or understand or even try to understand uh, places outside of the United States. So it says, I've noticed that when people talk about Canada online, it's usually very surface level, like the weather, Canadian accents, healthcare. But for those who actually live here in Canada, what's something that feels deeply Canadian that you don't think outsiders really grasp? And I thought this sounded extremely interesting. And I agree that when we hear about Canada, it's usually the same types of things like maple syrup and accents and that it's cold. And so today I want to learn about some aspects of Canadian culture that you really don't normally hear about unless you're Canadian. So let's take a look at some of these responses here, starting with, oh, here we go. It says, I think perhaps there are things connected with our great outdoors. Oh, the great Canadian outdoors? Are Canadians like outdoorsy? You know? Like is that a big thing? The ease with which you can find yourself in a remote place with no one around and no one expected for a while, and the fact that you could find yourself in a pickle, is that a good thing? This is a little difficult to relate to as an American. I think most Americans, like, don't get me wrong, like the United States, we have there's a lot of like stuff. Like the US is a very, very, very big place, but I wouldn't call Americans like extremely outdoorsy. Like, I can't remember the last time like that tried to go camping or hiking and I try to like stay healthy and like go to the gym and stuff, but I think a lot of Americans prefer that kind of thing, like indoor activity. If I mean, let's be honest, Americans are not known for being healthy. Aren't like 50% of us like obese or something like that? It's not good. So, yeah, getting outdoors and active is not like our strong suit. But it sounds like, according to this guy from Ontario, and maybe it depends on where you live in Canada, but it says you can find yourself in a remote place with no one around. You could find yourself in a pickle, which I don't know if that's like in a fun way or like a concerning way, but like you're out in the middle of nowhere and you pop your tire and you gotta like survive on cactus juice for a week, or and then you like laugh about it later. I don't know. I think perhaps we may have a greater percentage of people comfortable with being out in the bush. Really? And a greater percentage of people who know them. There are people who get it and people who don't, but the bush is a huge part of Canada. The bush? The bush. In the US, that's a president. That's George Bush, the bush. In Canada, the bush is the outdoors, or it's a huge part of Canada. Although there are more of us who are urban, suburban than not, the great outdoors calls us. Interesting. Yeah, I've never really associated this with Canadian culture or Canadians or Perhaps a lot of you are like very outdoorsy, or I guess it depends on where you live. But yeah, Canada, when Americans think of Canada, I guess like we think of some of your cities like Vancouver or Toronto. Um, but there's big parts of Canada that are like open space and sort of rural, and I guess maybe that plays a part in this. I don't know. That's cool. Very cool, actually. Okay. Some uniquely Canadian things, according to this person, says the real significance of Victoria Day weekend. Victor. I feel like I have heard of this. This is a Canadian holiday? Victoria Day. I feel like that's something like with Queen Victoria. It's too British for me to remember. Something with like Canada's independence. I want to say so. It's a thing. It's a Canadian holiday, or it's a weekend. Victoria Day weekend is putting your plants out. What does that mean? What's what does that mean? You put your plants out on Victoria Day. Does that there's a significance to that? A meaning? We emerge from our cocoons on Victoria Day and live until October as beautiful, carefree butterflies. Okay, what? All right, stop trolling. What's the plants for? I don't see any explanation. I'm gonna have to go to my last resort here. AI. Here's ChatGPT. Let's paste this in. What does this mean? Okay. Perfect. Thank goodness for the future, where we don't have to even think at all. We can just have robots tell us the answer. In Canada, when people say Victoria Day weekend, when you put your plants out, they're talking about a gardening rule of thumb, not the official meaning of the holiday. Victoria Day is a holiday in Canada to celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday. Oh, I was a little off there. Put your plants out? So Victoria Day is like the benchmark in Canada for like, okay, it's time to get the gardening going. Is that right? Moving plants from indoors to outdoors, planting them. Oh, it's like a symbolic of the end of the cold season? Okay. Huh, I never would have grasped that. I thought this was like symbolic of something like putting your plants outside, like we're exercising our demons. We're getting the negativity out in the form of plants outside. I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep going. Uniquely Canadian things that Americans wouldn't understand would be feeling for the ruts in a whiteout and hoping they don't veer off the road. What are we talking about? Feeling for what? Is this a feeling like inside that you feel? Feeling for the ruts in a whiteout. I think that's a weather thing. And hoping they don't veer off the road? Hoping who doesn't veer off the road? What? Also, squinting to blindly follow the car in front of you and hoping it doesn't veer off the road. Okay, so when you're driving during a whiteout, I think that's like it's so snowy you can't see, I guess. Like in high school, a whiteout was when everybody wore a white T-shirt to the pep rally. In Canada, this like I want to say this is a weather thing. So on the road, during a whiteout on the road, you don't want to veer off the road because you can't see. So there are ruts on the road? Ruts like bumps? I think I'm getting it. We're going to get through this. I think this is very uniquely Canadian. I think I get it. So it's really snowy. You're driving for some reason because you're insane or you're Canadian. You're driving in the blizzard. You can't see the road hardly. So you purposefully feel for bumps on the side of the road, I'm guessing, because that's like the edge. ruts to help you stay on the road. Is that really what we're doing here? Also, squinting to follow the car in front of you. What are you guys doing? This is insane behavior, but very Canadian. Uh, Everyone's favorite winter sport: pick an imaginary lane and hope that it's real. What on earth? I've never had this experience, thank God. We Americans would never go out in any kind of whiteout condition, or so Canadians do this to the point where there's actually assistance built into the road, like bumps to tell you, okay, I'm getting off the road, and you like get. We have like bumps in our roads to like make sure you're awake. Like if you're falling asleep, you go off the side of the road. It makes a really loud noise and it vibrates your car. Maybe it's just those types of things, or maybe if like ruts to me means like kind of a bump almost. Oh my god, I didn't know about all that. Something deeply Canadian is the diversity between our provinces. Huh. So many outsiders show up to Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal and proclaim, I've been to Canada. Sure, yeah, technically, but each province is very different from the rest. That's interesting. I feel like I've done a couple videos in the past trying to look at some of the Canadian provinces and understand them a little bit better. And certainly the geography is different and the cities are different, but this suggests like the culture or something is different between the province. Is that fair to say? Like that like people's attitudes are different, or what do you mean the diversity between the provinces? What is different? Every province is very different. Like in the United States, obviously we have states. States can be, a lot of them are extremely similar, I'm going to be honest, but some are very unique, like New York. Texas is known, like they have their own accent, and like they're a little rougher around the edges, a little crazy, and they love guns more than average Americans. California, like laid back, like fashion, maybe stuck up a little bit. So I guess it's that kind of thing. Are there? Those are almost like stereotypes. Are there stereotypes of different provinces, or the East Coast is a world unto its own. From culture to accents to food, it's quite an experience. So the East Coast, the what do you call them? The Atlantic provinces, like the ones by the ocean, are like unique, like very different. Huh. I've been in the Western provinces all my life. I love to visit the Atlantic provinces. Such a big difference between Halifax and Saskatoon. Huh. That's fascinating. Oh, I did a video recently hearing a Newfoundland accent. That's different. Yeah, okay. That's right. It can be quite different. Bush parties. What is a bush party? Why didn't I should have looked this up. Isn't this the second thing that's referenced bush parties? Or the other one was, no, it was about bush, like the bush, like the outback, like the nature. What's a bush party? What's a bush party? I'm pretty sure this is big with Australians. Is this like an outdoor part? What? I don't know what all this is. What's a bush party in Canada? Okay, we're back to the AI. A bush party in Canada is basically a rural outdoor party in the woods. Think bonfire, drinks, music, hanging out. That sounds awesome. Wait, this is amazing. This is awesome. Held in the bush. That's slang for forest, backwoods. Big bonfire. Why not? Drinks, music, trucks, cars. Wait, this is amazing. Wait. It's common on Victoria Day, which we talked about. Or just summer. It can get a little rowdy. Okay. This is I love this. Wait a minute. Why are we not doing this? Bush Party. Okay. Anything else here? Canadian Indigenous relations, French first, Anglo-Canadian relationships, tensions, history. So these are definitely uniquely Canadian things. These are things I truly like. I don't think there's any way I could know anything about this, like your relationship with your indigenous inhabitants and or the French Anglo-Canadian history or the British past, immigration, hockey culture I've heard about, Canadian wilderness we've talked about. Those are things that are truly like, I think you have to be Canadian to truly even understand any of that. Our tolerance, politeness, and acceptance has a peak. Oh, God. And when that peak is achieved, we take the gloves off. This is like a good. This is relevant because I think this has happened between a lot of Canadians and your attitude towards like Trump and the United States. Um, like with a lot of Canadians boycotting not traveling here, not buying American products, like your tolerance. Like that's a perfect example. Like because for a lot of Americans, we think of Canadians as being very polite, tolerant. I think some Americans think pushover, like you can be a pushover if you're too nice. But this is a very important point. Even Canadians have a threshold, and I think that has happened. We chose to be polite, tolerant, accepting, push us into a corner, and we'll snap back with no remorse. I think that's literally what's happening. Unfortunately, that's the example I think of because it's very relevant to what's happening right now. Unfortunately, America has found that out. Absolutely. But not to get too depressing here, this was a really fun, very insightful look into unique parts of Canadian culture that we just, yeah, like I didn't know any of this stuff. This is just stuff you got to grow up and live your life in Canada to know, or read about it on a random Reddit discussion. And that's what I did. So I'm glad I did because this was actually really Canada. It's an amazing culture, and I think a lot of Americans don't realize how different it is, and how it's not all the stereotypes that we think. So this was really cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on uniquely Canadian things that would shock Americans. That'd be cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.